Island. The Emerald Isle. From its impressive coastlines and national parks to historic monuments and quaint towns, it's jam-packed with amazing places. But let's go beyond the tourist trail. There are some hidden secrets here. Catch the northern lights in Donegal, a brilliant place to gaze in the night skies. Hook Lighthouse is the oldest lighthouse in the world still in operation. Built in the 13th century by Knight William Marshall, the black and white striped tower has truly withstood the test of time. It offers unbeatable views across Ireland's south coast and the Celtic Sea. Dunago Castle might look pretty, but its history is more like the stuff of horror stories. But in 1588, Spain attempted to invade England. A ship from the Spanish Armada crashed near the castle. Its 170-strong crew managed to escape the shipwreck, but they were taken prisoner by High Sheriff of Clare, Boetius McClancy, and were hanged at the castle. Folks tell me their remains are buried near the castle. The Caves of Keshe, also known as Keshe Caves, this haunting collection of 17 limestone caverns sits on Keshe Hill. According to local myths and legends, the famous King of Ireland, Cormac MacEart, is said to have been raised here by wolves. The caves are a popular spot for walkers, with the hill offering sweeping vistas across the Sligo countryside. The sounds of howls keeping you company on a lonely walk. The Rock of Cachel might be grander and better renowned, but Ho Abbey makes up for it in romanticism and history. Built by the Benedictine order in the 13th century, it was given to the monks by David McCarville, the Archbishop of a nearby church. Unfortunately for the monks, he drove them away after having a dream that they tried to kill him. This island used to be a well-kept secret, but not so much anymore. This enchanting little island, called Skellig Michael, was used as a filming location for Star Wars, The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. The rugged isle is topped by a monastic settlement, which dates back to the 6th century. Monks lived here until the 13th century, when they were driven back to the mainland by harsh weather conditions. Let's go to another tiny isle with heaps of history, Inish Barfin Island, situated 7 miles off the Galway coast. The island was inhabited as early as 4000 to 8000 BC, although today its most notable feature is the 17th century ruins of Cromwell's barracks. Built by the Cromwellian regime in 1656, after which it used to imprison captured Catholic priests and served as a defensive location during the late 17th century. Let's go to the Rock of Dunamis. You won't find this on any tourist map. It's steeped in archaeological and historical significance. Initially home to an early Christian settlement, it was pillaged by the Vikings in 842 AD, then became an Anglo-Norman fortress during the 12th century. Passed through generations of rich families, it was left in ruins by around 1350 and blown up by the military 300 years later. There are so many beautiful beaches in Ireland, but my favourite is Keem Bay. It's breathtaking. Situated on the picturesque coast of Achill Island, it's surrounded on both sides by steep cliffs which create the perfect horseshoe-shaped bay. If you want to get to this secluded paradise, the only way is a winding cliff-top road, but it's worth it. Our next beach is Bunbeg, and we go in here to see the Shipwreck of Badaddy. The boat, formerly owned by local fisherman Eddie Gillespie, washed up here in the 1970s and since then become a beloved part of the landscape. In winter 2020, locals were so concerned that it might not withstand the harsh weather that they formed a rescue plan. They reinforced it with steel so that it could be preserved for future generations. Despite being almost 3 times the height of the cliffs of Moher, County Donegal's Slieve League cliffs lack their fame, although it's difficult to see why. 1,972 feet at the highest point. These majestic sea cliffs are among the highest in Europe. During the 18th and 19th centuries, Catholic worship was illegal in Ireland, but many Catholics refused to convert to Protestantism, so they created a makeshift church out of the rocks along these cliffs. The remains of this church, known as Mass Rock, can be spotted along the coastline. The Ring of Bearer is a fantastic scenic drive. A 55 to 80 mile loop, the journey around the Bearer Peninsula takes in all the wild and rugged landscapes. What will you discover? Let's escape to the wonderful barn. This unusual corkscrew-shaped tower casts a striking silhouette against the landscape. Built in 1743 on the estate of Castletown House. Locals argue that it was used as a granary, created for storing grain after several famines, while others believe it was used as a meeting place for lovers. Poolbeg Lighthouse has featured on many a postcard. Constructed in 1768, it's situated at the end of the Great South Wall, one of the largest seawalls in Europe. Get your camera ready. The views of Hoth, Bull Island and Dublin Mountains are impressive, and you can see why this is one of Ireland's most Instagrammable places. Next, I want to take you to Torc Waterfall. It derives its name from the Gaelic word Torc, meaning wild boar. This powerful waterfall looks every bit as untamed. Legend says a local man was cursed by the devil and turned into a wild boar each night, but he became furious when his secret was discovered by a local farmer. In his anger, he burst into flames and disappeared into the nearby Punchbowl Lake. The waters exploded down the cliffside to create Torc Waterfall. From the natural power of Torc Waterfall to the magic of Newgrange, County Meath, this prehistoric tomb, nicknamed Island Stonehenge, is thought to be even older than its British cousin. Dating back 5,000 years, the 262-foot wide grass-top mound is surrounded by 97 curbstones engraved with megalithic art. Steeped in historic and spiritual significance, it's been classified by archaeologists as a passage tomb, a megalithic monument consisting of several burial chambers covered in earth or stone. Dating back to the 7th century, Kilmacdu's monastery's most mysterious feature is the 30-metre tall round tower. 65 similar towers can be found in Ireland, all built between the 7th and 10th centuries. They served as bell towers or defensive structures. Others said it was for the light to travel far and wide. A glacial fjord on the Cooley Peninsula looks utterly jaw-dropping. The lake is mesmerising, but make sure to visit the medieval village of Carlingford and the Cooley Mountains. Let's go and see the work of St Patrick. The sea stack of Dumbrist looks as if it's been cut away from the cliffs of Downpatrick Head with a knife. According to local law, it actually was. A pagan chieftain refused to convert to Christianity. St Patrick struck the ground with a crozier, splitting the rock off the headland. Unfortunately, we go into jail. Cork City Jail. It's intriguing and it's chilling. Built in the early 19th century, it served as a prison for criminals in the city. Up until 1868, when public hangings became illegal, those given the death sentence would be hanged from the gatehouse. It closed in 1923, then strangely was used for local radio until 1950. Then it opened as a museum in 1993. After escaping prison, we're going to adventure along a remote 7-mile mountain pass with winding hairpin bends and narrow bridges. The Gap of Dunlow, it's not for the faint-hearted. It's very difficult to drive, so many hire a traditional horse-drawn wagon. Locals tell me to stop at the Wishing Bridge, and funnily enough, make a wish. Let's discover another secret place. Sitting on its own tiny island in the middle of Loch Dune is Dune Fort. Built between the late Iron Age and early medieval times. Occupied by famous clans such as Breslin and O'Boyle, this is a fabulous place to see. Accessed via private land, and you need to catch a boat. From a private secret to a UNESCO Global Geopark, we go into County Waterford's Copper Coast. It's breathtaking. Sea stacks, arches and blowholes eroded into the sedimentary and volcanic cliffs, as well as rocky coves and sandy beaches. The coastline takes its name from the copper mines that sprung up here in the 19th century. You can still see the remains. The tallest member of the Derryveigh Mountains at 2,464 feet, Mount Errigal looks utterly majestic as it towers over the landscape. Popular with hikers, the rugged peak's summit provides a sweeping view across County Donegal and parts of County Ulster. The Aran Islands can even be seen on a clear day. Let's rejoin civilization and let your eyes feast on a rainbow of colourful houses falling down the steep Bandon Hill. Cove is situated on the great island in Cork Harbour. The town, then known as Queenstown, was the departure point from which 2.5 million Irish left the country for America between 1848 and 1950. On April 11, 1912, it was the final port of call for the Titanic, which sunk 3 days later. 7 fortunate passengers had left the ship at Cove, including the Odell family and the priest, Father Francis Brown. Let's get back out to the coast. Narrow, winding walkways await on monstrous cliffs. Dunquin Pier is a breathtaking spot along Ireland's wild Atlantic Way. Keep walking the meandering path, it leads to a small ferry. This ferry will take you to the uninhabited Blasket Islands just off the coast. The views are simply majestic. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. I will be adding more videos weekly. Thank you. Diolch.